Welcome to today's episode of the California GACCs Weather Terms video series. Our topic for today will be another classic Southern California weather staple, Santa Ana winds. We will also touch on a close sibling that is less well known called Sundowner winds. In this video, we will cover what these wind regimes are, how and why they develop, and why they are significant to fire weather. In a previous video, we touched on the general characterization of winds in California being either onshore or offshore. As a refresher, onshore winds are winds that blow from the ocean to the land and are the most common wind regime through the year. Offshore winds, on the other hand, blow from the land to the ocean and are much warmer and drier than onshore winds. There are two known offshore wind regimes local to Southern California, colloquially termed Santa Ana winds and Sundowner winds. Santa Ana winds form when strong surface high pressure forms over the Great Basin and low pressure forms off the California coast. As a result of this pressure gradient, cold air from the Great Basin is forced to move to the southwest across the Southern California deserts and through the canyons of the coastal mountains from Ventura County southward. As the air filters through the narrow canyons and moves downhill, it accelerates and very strong wind gusts can develop. The strength of Santa Ana winds is strongly dependent on the upper air flow pattern as well. Stronger forcing occurs when an upper-level trough moves southward from the Intermountain West into the desert southwest that brings about an increase in upper-level winds which help enhance the wind speed at the surface. As Santa Ana winds accelerate downhill towards the coastline, temperatures tend to warm west of the deserts. This warming can be very significant when it is already quite warm in the late summer and early fall. There are two main corridors where Santa Ana winds surface. The main corridor is through the Angeles National Forest and Highway 14 corridor towards the Ventura County coastal plain and into the western San Fernando Valley. The second is through the Cajon Pass and Banning Pass into the Inland Empire and then through the Santa Ana Mountains. During a moderate to strong Santa Ana wind event, offshore winds can reach the beaches and sometimes even out to the Channel Islands. During weaker Santa Ana wind events, the coastline often has a sea breeze while inland areas have the offshore wind. The peak wind speeds typically occur during the mid-morning through mid-afternoon hours. Climatologically, Santa Ana winds occur most frequently in the fall and winter months when cold high pressure develops in the Great Basin. Sundowner winds are very similar to Santa Ana winds and result from similar pressure differences, but reside in a different and smaller geographic location. These winds occur through the canyons of the Santa Ynez mountain range southward towards the south coast of Santa Barbara County. They typically occur when surface high pressure resides in the San Joaquin Valley and there is lower pressure off the coast. During most situations, the gustier winds are typically isolated over the western half of this strip out to around the Refugio Ras, and the eastern half remains calm. When the pressure gradient is stronger and there is more cold air aloft, the gustier winds will spread eastward towards the Montecito Hills and Carpinteria. Usually the gustier winds remain up in the hills and above the populated areas, but very strong events can bring gusty winds down near the beach. As the name implies, Sundowner winds are strongest during the late afternoon through overnight hours and weakest during the day. Differing from Santa Ana winds, the climatological peak of Sundowner winds occurs during the late spring to early summer. As a result, oftentimes sundowners are not as dry due to the peak season occurring when the marine layer is most prevalent. When it does get very dry, it typically is driest over the eastern half where the marine layer is less prevalent and overnight recoveries can be very poor. Strong sundowners can also lead to warming along the coast during the evening hours. Gusty Santa Ana and Sundowner winds can lead to significant drying and warming, particularly during the summer and fall, and thus bring about critical fire weather conditions. If a fire breaks out during these events, rapid rates of spread are common, especially if fuel conditions are sufficiently dry. Santa Ana and Sundowner winds are notorious for bringing the worst fire weather conditions to Southern California. That's it for today's episode of California GACCs Weather Terms. We hope you now have a greater understanding of Santa Ana and Sundowner winds and why they have a significant impact on fire weather in Southern California. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.